An implantable defibrillator is a device that we put into the chest over here. I have an example to show you. We put it over here in the chest, and from here a wire goes into the heart and it records the heart's rhythm. In the event that the patient experiences a heart rhythm that's life-threatening, it can deliver a shock to restore the heart back to a normal rhythm.
An implantable defibrillator is a pacemaker-like device about the size of a pager. An implantable defibrillator is usually implanted under the skin in your upper chest. The battery and computer circuitry needed to correct your heart rhythm are contained in the device. Thin insulated wires called leads connect the implantable defibrillator to your heart. Typically, the implant procedure is done under local anesthesia. It does not require open heart surgery, and most people go home within 24 hours. An implantable defibrillator monitors your heart rhythm. If it detects a problem, it will use electrical pulses to correct your heart rate. Depending on how it's programmed, an implantable defibrillator can first use small, painless pulses to correct your heart. If these don't work, a stronger shock is delivered. A shock can be surprising and uncomfortable, sometimes even painful, but the feeling passes quickly. Sometimes it's over before you are fully aware of what has happened. People describe their experience with a defibrillation shock in different ways. For Ian, receiving a shock was a painful and memorable experience. For Vivian, the shock was startling more than anything else.
What happens when you receive a therapy from this device is that it sends a jolt of energy to your heart because it has recognized that it needs some help to convert itself from what we call as arrhythmia associated with sudden cardiac arrest. And the jolt that sends is extremely painful. I mean, you feel it from your head to your toe.
I've had two shocks that were sustained. The first time happened maybe a year and a half after the implant, and I was out walking with my husband, and as we were walking, all of a sudden I felt just maybe lightheaded. I was just going to tell him to let's slow down a little bit. Instead, I landed on my knees. It went off. First, my husband thought I had tripped, and I knew right away it went off. My defibrillator went off, and all I kept saying is, didn't you hear it? Because to me, it sounded like a cannon, because it's very loud to me. But he says, no, I wouldn't have heard it. But when I went off, the only thing I felt was it scared me, but it did not hurt at all. There was no pain at all.
Although a shock may be painful, you know the device is there doing its job of providing you with life-saving therapy.
As you recall, when the device is put in here, what it's doing is recording your heart rhythm. And when the heart rhythm is potentially life-threatening, the device delivers a shock. This is just like what you see when the ambulance attendants come and shock the patient from the outside, but the shock is delivered through the wire that's in the heart attached to the device. What the patient will typically experience is a feeling of uncomfortable pain, pressure, a pounding. Patients often describe it as like being punched in the chest. Some patients will be dizzy, or some patients will even black out before they receive the shock, and they won't remember it. On the other hand, many patients will be aware enough to describe it as a painful experience.